Hey, it's Dr. Schmidt. So let's talk about metabolism. So I've been doing some studying this weekend, and I figured out some things that actually makes a lot of sense, and it's very applicable regarding the definition of the word metabolism. So when you go into some textbooks or you Google it, the word metabolism, you'll get biochemistry, and it doesn't apply. Like you can't really see what's going on when you're looking at these biochemical equations, but you can see it in the body. So I'm going to talk to you about metabolism as it relates to the body, and then two other words: catabolism, which is the breakdown of the body, and anabolism, which is building up. So just bear with me. It only take a few minutes, but once you get this, then you can see things in a different light. So you can have an anabolism, which is building up of healthy tissue or unhealthy tissue. So anabolism of unhealthy tissue would be the building up of skin tags, moles, cancer, stuff like that, bad stuff, fibroids, cysts. But you can also have the anabolism of healthy tissue. So that would be like the repair of, my finger. I cut the end of my finger off almost, and I got 10 stitches in a little circle, and that tissue is building up. And it's at first it was scar tissue that broke off, and now it's coming back very nicely. Anabolism of muscle, anabolism of bone, the building up of bone and muscle. So that's good. And then you got catabolism, which is a breakdown. So catabolism of fat cells, that's a good thing. You make them smaller. The catabolism of pathological tissue, cancer, and skin tags, moles, fibroids, cysts. Okay, but you can also have catabolism of healthy tissue. That'd be like the wasting away of muscles. Osteoporosis is the catabolism of bones. So what you want to do is you want to catabolize bad stuff, pathology, and you want to have anabolism of healthy tissue. And that's how you stay alive. That's the fountain of youth, if you will, is to keep and maintain your healthy tissue, and at the same time, always destroying your unhealthy tissue. So now let's talk about ketosis and glycolysis and lactate fermentation. Okay, you'll get this. Just bear with me. So ketosis is when your body's burning fat as fuel, and it converts that fat into water-soluble chemicals, as opposed to just using fat alone. So with ketosis, you're actually getting all the benefits of the ketone bodies. I promised I wouldn't talk about biochemistry, but I'm talking about biochemistry, but it's actually very easy. So when you're in ketosis, it kills most cancers. And there's research to back up that statement. And with ketosis, you burn excess fat away, especially initially the fat that's inside your organs, like in your pancreas, causing diabetes, in your liver, causing high, liver enzymes on a blood test, et cetera, burning the fat out of your arteries. So ketosis, though, also, if you eat enough protein, you can build muscle, you can repair your tissue, you can repair your skin, you can repair leaky gut and various conditions inside the body. So you can still have adequate amounts of protein or high amounts of protein, and you're anabolizing healthy tissue, and in ketosis, catabolizing unhealthy tissue. Perfect. Ketosis is the native state of the body. I've been saying that for 3 years. Now let's talk about glycolysis. That's sugar burning. So there are people in glycolysis their whole life, and at the age of 60 something, they have a sudden heart attack and they're dead, or maybe they survive it, but they have pathology, or they get a diagnosis of cancer. And it's like, well, I've been eating healthy food my whole life, eating all my vegetables and all my fruit and lean meats, or I eat eggs in the morning and chicken at dinner, but they've never been in ketosis. So in glycolysis, they are not breaking down, they're not catabolizing unhealthy tissue. And I did a low carb diet for, since 2000, not being in ketosis up until 2016. And I would have to say that just doing low carb isn't enough. you got to have higher amounts of protein. Okay, so the point here is you want to be able to build up your normal body tissue, break down pathology, and ketosis does that, and sugar burning does not. Okay, so there's quote unquote healthy vegetarians, and inside their body, something pathological is going on. And it may take 30 or 50 years. And that's true for everybody, even with the standard American diet. So as they go along, always burning sugar, now they're setting themselves up for some sort of a disease state or a condition. And so let me like scooch forward into lactic acidosis. I've talked a lot about this, and I still have not really found another social media healthcare person that's really grabbed onto it like I have, even though I've been talking about it for a number of years. I've been studying more lactic acidosis, and with that cycle of lactic acidosis, it's a net of -4 ATP. It sucks energy from your body, and so that's when people are in cachexia, they had a heart attack or they have cancer, and they're losing weight, they're losing their muscles, they're losing all their tissues, and they may drop half their body weight before they die. That's because cachexia, or lactate fermentation, also known as the lactic acid cycle, also known as lactic acidosis, also known as the Cori cycle. It's all the same thing, 5 different names. It's taking ATP in order to use lactate as energy. So if you're an athlete and you're running and you sprint 20 minutes or even 30 seconds, your muscles burn and they're using lactate. It's not sustainable. So the athlete has to stop. If they if they exceed that threshold, they have to stop, and then their muscles go back to using and making sugar. Whereas with lactate fermentation, it's all in the liver. So now, if you're diabetic and you have metabolic, let me define metabolic again, or metabolism. Okay, and anabolic means building up. Literally, like thousands of years ago in ancient Greece or ancient Latin, Roman languages, it meant taking a ball of dirt. That's the ball part, anabolism. You take a ball of dirt from the ground and you throw it up into a pile. Anabolism. Ana is up. Catabolism is down. So you take that ball of dirt from the pile and you throw it down back into the hole. So we're going to the etymology of these words. Metabolism is the change between the two. Meta means change or in between. So that's what metabolism is. It's where are you at? Are you anabolic or catabolic for whatever tissue that you want to address? All right. So if you want to, anabolize or have an anabolic state for healthy tissue, then get into ketosis. And you want to break down pathological tissue, then get into ketosis. But if you want to anabolize and build up your pathological tissue, always burn sugar, and even worse, get into lactate fermentation. So that's sort of the story about that. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, the flexibility between the two of glycolysis and ketosis. Let's call that flexitarian. That's a really good state to be in. Metabolic flexibility is a good thing. Metabolic syndrome, as defined in medicine, is when you have glycolysis all the time, and now you have high blood pressure, and your ankles are swelling up, and your blood sugar is too high, your insulin's too high, and you have all these symptoms really of excess glycolysis leading into lactic acidosis, leading to death. Right? This is sort of like from the day you're born to the day you die. It's all traceable how your physiology changes based on if you're eating the standard American diet. Okay, so that's what metabolic syndrome is just too much glycolysis. They should call it glycolysis syndrome. Well, they do. They call it diabetes. Diabetes mellitus. Mellitus means sweet tasting, because the kings used to have their doctors taste their urine, and the doctors would taste the urine would be sweet. And so that's where the word mellitus comes from, diabetes mellitus. Okay, so there's that. I wanted to go over that because I just thought it was interesting, and it's sort of like overreaching. This is something that I was Googling some websites and some YouTube channels trying to see what they had to say about metabolism, catabolism, and anabolism, and they didn't explain it this way. They're talking about pyruvate, and they're talking about um, various biochemical reactions, all at this very small size, under a microscope and smaller biochemistry. But you can see it in the body. You can see it when somebody's 50 pounds overweight and they're taking blood pressure medications, they're on a statin drug. And then the way you reverse that is you change your metabolism from, you change it to the ketogenic catabolism and anabolism. So I hope that makes sense. All right, thanks. I'm going to answer some questions. What I'm going to try to do is every Monday and every Wednesday at 6:10 p.m. go live, and we'll see how it goes regarding the weekend. I'm not sure what to do with that, but that's my goal. So, hi, Susan. All right, let me answer some questions. Can you talk about how babies are born into ketosis and how they are in keto in the womb and stay in keto while breastfeeding, even though I looked up the macro breakdown and there are carbs in it, right? So the baby's metabolism is so geared towards ketosis, and the carbohydrates, I don't remember what percentage of breast milk is carbohydrate, but there's a lot of fat in there too. So it's just like like an adult. Let's say they're 35 years old, they've been in ketosis for 5 years. It's very hard to get out of ketosis because, like in classical physics, the law is a body in motion tends to stay in motion. That's true with the cells in the mitochondria. You've been feeding them fat; they've been burning fat for 5 years. Now you're going to eat sugar. That they don't just convert to glycolysis like that. It may take a week or it may take longer. But studies have shown that the kids, newborns, infants, toddlers, and then into the teens, they're so much more metabolically flexible that when they're in ketosis, they might stay in ketosis longer despite their high sugar diet, right? And so I don't know. I'm not going to give you any examples of that, but that's the basic premise of that. So, are you fasting, Dr. Schmidt? Yeah, today was an 11-hour fast. I just had some cheese, and so that's still like a ketogenic food. And then in another hour or two, I'll go have dinner. In the last weekend, I've been eating about 2 meals a day. And yeah, that's my answer to that. Okay, so and during the weekdays, I just had a breakthrough for my own personal health improvement. During the weekdays when I'm seeing patients, last week I had one meal. I think it was Wednesday. I can't remember what day it was. But I skipped breakfast and I was able to skip dinner. I just had lunch, which is a big deal because it's a weekday and I'm seeing patients. Weekends, not a big deal. That's easy. All right. Can prostate cancer patient prior to surgery, 5 months, water fast, 3 to 5 days, worry about ketosis and raising PSA? Yeah. I wouldn't be going into ketosis with a prostate cancer with a high PSA because prostate cancer loves to burn fat. You want to do the pescatarian diet. So now, if you wanted to try some intermittent fasting for whatever purpose or reason, just do it for like 3 days only. But you can check your PSA and you can see your PSA go up and down even in like a 1 week period. So you can get your doctor to order a PSA and then do 5 day water fast, then do another PSA and see what happens. That'd be an experiment. All right, cool. Plantar fasciitis type pain soon after starting strict keto carnivore. Liver, good question. It would be more of the, I think it would be more of the mineral deficiencies. So when it comes to mineral deficiencies, my answer was always eat more Celtic sea salt. But now it could be more magnesium powder or potassium powder. So, but you can do all three. And then look up Dr. Berg's video on plantar fasciitis, because most people are trying to stretch their calf muscles to fix that problem. It's not, it's the opposite of that. You want to fix the muscles that are on the, they're not like on the shin, like directly anterior, like in the front of your body of the shin, but more on the sides of the shin. Those are the muscles you want to stretch out for plantar fasciitis. So check out Dr. Berg on his video on how to stretch out the plantar fasciitis. Okay, so this is a cool Manuka honey band-aids from CVS are great for wounds. Healed my second-degree blisters on fingers in 3 weeks with no scarring. I saw those when I was shopping around for band-aids for that, and I didn't buy them. But thank you, Karen H, for that on the Manuka honey band-aids from CVS. Those pharmacies, man, they're iffy. All right, I'm keto carnivore. Scott Finley have had heart rhythm issues. Doc told me it was vitamin D deficiency. Been on supplements 2 months, feel better, but heart skipping every fourth beat, followed by a strong beat. Otherwise, healthy 39. Yeah, that's check. Look at those minerals I just mentioned, and then you got to check out Cataplex B and G. Primarily Cataplex B from Standard Process. It's on Amazon, and take like 9 to 15 a day. I'm not your doctor though. I didn't say that, and I've never taken your history. And it could be mold, it could be a parasite, um, it could be mineral deficiency. So I don't know what it is, but try the Cataplex B, and that will help keep your head above water, if you will, while you're trying to find the cause. And the cause might just simply be B vitamin deficiency. All right, cool. How will people get potassium in carnivore diet? Will it be pulled from your bones? No, see, the high potassium recommendations in the USRDA are there because the standard American diet is so high in carbohydrates. So the USDA food recommendations are all based on a high carb diet. When you go carnivore, you're maintaining your minerals, but initially you drop your insulin down, and you could pee out potassium. You could, because you urinate excessively. So initially, you could take potassium powder. Um, it might be 6 weeks to 4 months, and usually not longer than that. Um, Avocados have more potassium than bananas, so in avocados, they're really good for the keto carnivore way of eating initially. All right, cool. Thanks for the question. Um, so, hey, Doc, what's the difference between K2 MK4 and K2 MK7? I don't know. When I sell Patrick Theat's multi K vitamin product. It's called concentrated K. Concentrated begins with a K. Anyways, it's got all of it in the way that he wanted it put together based on the years and years and years of research that he did. I haven't studied the difference between the two. I just put people on that multi K and they get better. All right. How do you treat scoliosis, Dr. Schmidt? I don't treat scoliosis. I'm assuming you're talking about a kid. Um, I would send them to a chiropractor that says that they focus on the treatment of scoliosis. Okay. I've had to have 2 steroid shots and pills for poison ivy. Yeah, that's internal. I read that prednisone kicks one out of ketosis. Possibly. Can I quickly correct this somehow? Side effects are awful. Yeah, you got to fix the immune system problem. I had a patient once. She had poison ivy for 2 years, and she came in. It was all in her arms, and I was like, "Yeah, you got to fix the inside, fix up the immune system." And her diet was pretty clean to begin with, from Standard Process, Imiplex, and Kale Ammo, and Spanish black radish. So those are ways you can speed up the recovery of the poisonous plants like poison ivy, poison oak, and even insect bites. So again, it's just venom. It's just natural poison from the insect or from the plant, messing with your immune system, causing havoc, in the long run, causing some autoimmune conditions. You got to normalize the immune system. You got to clean out the poison. All right, that's a good question. I've never really talked about that in any of my videos. I think I got 370 now. Okay, protein came back low in blood work. Is liver problem or kidney? Moderate blood in urine tests also. Yeah, I'm not sure what to say about that one. And like the protein, is it albumin? So there's a lot more data I need, and it would take me some investigation to figure that one out. What blood test for 17-year-old daughter, low energy, left hip pain, one leg turning out? X-ray show no pelvic tilt, 8 degrees, leftward apex scoliosis centered at T10, rocking type, walking, knees wobbly. I don't know, what's her nutritional status? I would feed her a whole bunch of meat and hope that her spine and her nervous system and her muscles would heal just like this finger. What's her diet like? It better be filled with meat, more than a pound a day. Kathy Connolly. All right, I switched to animal only fat form 3 months for 3 months, and I feel great. I'm not doing even coconut or olive oil. That's a very good point. The animal fats are so much more important than the plant fats. And even myself and other people currently, but I quit saying this about 2 years ago. I would say high fat, moderate protein, low carb. And I had people scoop tablespoons of oil into their mouth, coconut oil, MCT oil, but I quit that because people got diarrhea from it. Avocado oil, but it's like the animal fats are so much more valuable. And consider that even though the avocado, coconut, olive oils, they're more natural than canola. They're fruit oils, they're not seed oils. But our bodies evolved not on avocado oil. It didn't exist. And you can argue that it's better for you, it's good for you, or you can cook with it and all this stuff. That's great. But I have cut way back on that myself since I've been carnivore. And yeah, I'm using bacon fat for cooking my or butter, cooking my eggs in. But it's like just when I'm cooking steaks or burgers, grass-fed burgers, and I'm eating that fat, yeah, the desire, the need, and the attention on those plant oils gone, and just feeling so much better. And I can see with my patients, right, compared to 3 years ago versus now, just focus on the animal fat. That's what we evolved on. That's food. That's really good food. I was looking up some definitions of words, and I was going to do a whole video about this, but I'm going to say right now. The word meat meant food since 2,000 years ago. All food was meat, whether it was plants or animals or whatever. And meat actually meant moist, meaning the blood, you kill an animal, it's red, it's moist. So meat meant moist. We're talking about probably 9 or 10 different languages going back, 1400s, 800s, ancient Greek. And then what's interesting is in the 1400s in France, they came up with another word to describe other types of food other than meat. And they used the term green meat to describe vegetables. So it's just interesting, like food is meat. And then you can separate out other types of food and you call this green meat. And then later came white meat. I just thought that was interesting because green meat is not meat, but that term didn't come, the idea to think of plants as a food to be described or to be categorized as a food, that wasn't until the 15th century. Okay. Um, okay. All right, you're welcome for the answer, Jake and Tiffany's DIY Health and Home. All right. Heart palpitations while on keto. Yeah, Cataplex B or Cataplex G. And then see if you have mold. It could be the mold. I had horrible heart palpitations when I had toxic black mold. Just take some investigation. What is your take on chelation therapy and stem cell therapy? That's a big question. And I'm going to keep this short. So I'm trying to keep this at a half hour. So I only have a few more minutes. I'm a big fan of chelation therapy, but it's got to be done right. And the IV chelation is not nearly as effective as some of the pills that I have. Stem cell therapy, that should be more of an injection. I do have pills of stem cell therapy. I just haven't used them that much because when you look at the context of health improvement care, you got to fix the causes, address the mechanism, and then you feed the organs to repair the organs. So you have step 1 and 2 first, and then you feed the organs with stem cells or whatever else you're going to do. So I've fixed a lot of people, and we don't use any stem cells. So it all depends. All right, I'm a pro arm wrestler. Cool, burn. Yeah, you typed a question before. My elbow wrist joints go through hell. What's the best way to heal, strengthen joints? Oh yeah, red meat, and then supplement wise, glucosamine or chondroitin sulfate. And then when you get a supplement that has glucosamine and chondroitin in it, it should have a list of other ingredients. Those would be the main ones, but other ingredients for joints and healing and bone, and maybe even reducing inflammation like Boswellia or turmeric. So there's a product from Standard Process called Glucosamine Synergy, and it has everything I just mentioned in there, and it has glandulars in there too, like connective tissue from an animal. So there's my simple answer. I could have just said glucose means synergy, but I wanted to describe it. What would be your dietary recommendations intake of micronutrients for a person in ketosis? I don't have any. There was a post on social media regarding Chronometer, which is the app that I love to use for people to put their food in and track their macronutrients and micronutrients. And when you look at the micronutrients, it's based on the USDA, RDA of vitamins and minerals and all that stuff. And there was a guy, he said that when he was a vegan, his micronutrients were all green on Chronometer, but he was dying. And then he switched to carnivore, and now his micronutrients on Chronometer are all red, meaning he's deficient, but he had the best health of his life. So I think the whole micronutrient thing is a total scam. It's not a scam. It's just not right. It's not true. And it's based on no science. It's a lot of expert opinion, right? Which is not science. Like fiber, for example. Look at the recommendations for fiber based on age from the USDA. There is no science whatsoever on that at all. So there's people eating nothing but meat for 20 years. They get zero fiber, and they're perfectly healthy. And the cause of colon cancer is sugar, all that stuff. So I don't have recommendations for micronutrients. The only thing is if you get cramping, it's because you need some more minerals. And, within 4 months, that is usually handled. Mold can be in the joints causing pain, yes. Been trying to push meat. Okay. All right. This thing jumps around, so I know I'm missing some questions. Somebody gave me $10. Thank you very much. All right. Would you recommend pork lard in keto diet? Absolutely. Pork lard is a fantastic food that has maintained the health of generations and of millennia of Chinese. The Chinese eat pigs, and there's the Okinawans. The island of Okinawa means the land of the pig eaters. There's no danger at all whatsoever regarding pork lard. All right. I love that answer. Vegans hate that answer. Dietitians, nutritionists, medical doctors hate that answer. It's the best answer ever. You can take Catabolism B and G together. You would take B more in the morning and lunchtime, and then G lunchtime and later in the day. So you get energy during the morning and then more calming at night. That's kind of how I do that. Vlad the Impaler says I don't eat pig. Yeah, I have a lot of patients who are Muslim. They don't eat pig, which is totally fine. There's some religious things about that. And here's a religious thing about it. Back in the biblical era, it was just an observation that those people here were more sickly and they tended to eat more pigs. And these people didn't eat pigs and they were more healthy. So an observational study, but the truth is it probably has something to do with parasites, not the saturated fat or the whatever. Okay. All right, now we're all talking about pigs. Okay. All right, cool. It's been a half hour. Thanks for your questions. So Wednesday in 2 days, 6:10 p.m. live stream, and come with your questions. I don't know what I'm going to start off with some topics, and I'll talk for 10-15 minutes. Then we'll get into some questions. That's how I'm going to run this. So I got to do a plug. You got to listen to my plug about my office. We have a phone. You should call it. We have an email inbox. You can email us. We're accepting new patients, and I have other practitioners in the office. We have people come in locally. We have people fly in. Or for some people, it's just all over the phone. We have different packages, and I will put that information down below this video, and I'll see you in 2 days.